Listen, I need to tell you something that will absolutely wreck everything you thought you knew about humans. My name is Vecron. I am, or rather I was, a senior intelligence officer for the Calthran Dominion. You know, the empire that controlled 73% of the known galaxy? Yeah, that one. The one that does not exist anymore. And before you ask, no, we were not destroyed by some massive rebellion or a coalition of oppressed species finally rising up together. And that would have been dignified. That would have made sense. We were dismantled, completely and utterly humiliated by one human. One single, solitary, absolutely infuriating human named Tom Garrison. You are probably thinking I am exaggerating. Trust me, I wish I was. I really, really wish I was. Let me back up. 3 cycles ago, the Calthran Dominion was the undisputed power in the galaxy. We had the largest fleet, 14,000 warships of various classes. We had conquered 462 worlds. Our military academies were legendary. Our tactical doctrine had been refined over 8,000 years. We were, in every measurable way, unstoppable. Then we made one tiny mistake. We attacked Earth. Now, you have to understand, this was not some random act of aggression. We had done our research. We had sent scouts. We knew humans had barely achieved faster-than-light travel. Their ships were primitive, held together with what I can only describe as hopes and prayers. Their weapons were laughably outdated. They had no unified planetary government, constantly fighting amongst themselves over the stupidest things. They were perfect targets. High Commander Zalthor himself approved the invasion. It was supposed to be a quick operation, maybe 2 rotations tops. Secure the planet, strip it of resources, incorporate the survivors into our labor force. Standard procedure. We had done it hundreds of times before. The initial assault went exactly as planned. We jumped into Earth's solar system with a strike force of 30 cruisers and 200 support vessels. More than enough firepower to handle anything those primitives could throw at us. Earth's defense forces tried to stop us. They really did. It was almost cute, watching their little ships buzzing around like insects, firing their kinetic weapons and primitive missiles. We swatted them aside without breaking stride. Within 6 hours, we had orbital superiority. Within 12 hours, we had landed ground forces on every continent. Within 24 hours, Earth's major governments had surrendered. Victory. Clean, efficient, exactly as anticipated. That is when Tom Garrison became my problem. I first heard about him during a routine intelligence briefing on the 3rd day of occupation. My subordinate, a young analyst named Krithos, brought me a report about an incident at one of our supply depots in what humans call North America. "Sir," Krithos said, his voice uncertain, "we have a situation. One of our forward operating bases was attacked last night." I barely looked up from my datapad. "Resistance activity already? How many were involved in the attack?" "That is the strange part, sir. Surveillance shows only 1 attacker." Now I looked up. 1? A suicide bomber? No, sir. He infiltrated the base, sabotaged 14 supply transports, killed 7 guards, and escaped without a scratch. We have footage. Krithos activated the holographic display. I watched as a human male, completely unremarkable in appearance, moved through the base like a ghost. He was not particularly large or imposing. He wore simple black clothing, no armor, carrying only basic human weapons. But the way he moved? That was something else entirely. He seemed to know exactly where every guard would be before they got there. He disabled security systems we thought were impenetrable. He set charges that destroyed exactly the right targets to cause maximum disruption. And when he finally had to engage in direct combat with 2 of our soldiers, he took them both down in less than 4 seconds. "Who is this human?" I asked. Krithos pulled up a file. "Tom Garrison, former Special Operations soldier in Earth's military. Age 37. No current affiliation with any Earth government or resistance organization. He appears to be acting alone." I laughed. Actually laughed. "1 human? acting alone. Increase security at all forward bases and put out a priority alert. This will be handled quickly. Oh, if only I had known. The next attack came 2 days later. This time, Garrison hit a communications relay station. He walked right past 14 guards, disabled the entire facility, and downloaded our complete tactical deployment data before anyone even realized he was there. The attack after that destroyed a munitions depot, then a vehicle park, then a command post, then another supply base. Every single time, it was just him, one human. No backup, no support. Just Tom Garrison systematically tearing apart our occupation infrastructure piece by piece. After 2 weeks, High Commander Zalthor called me into his office. The commander was a decorated veteran, had led campaigns across a dozen sectors. He did not look happy. "Ekron," he said, his voice tight with barely controlled anger. "Explain to me how one primitive human is causing more damage to our occupation than the entire Earth military did during the invasion." "Sir, I had no good answer. We are adapting our security protocols. We have tripled guard rotations. We have brought in advanced detection systems. And yet he continues to operate with complete impunity," Zalthor snapped. "Find him. Capture him. Kill him. I do not care which. Just stop him." Easier said than done. See, here is what I learned about humans, and about Tom Garrison specifically. They are creative in ways that do not make sense to species like us. We Kelthrans, we are logical. We follow doctrine. We analyze probabilities and act accordingly. It is how we built an empire. Humans? Humans do not care about probability. They do not care about doctrine. They see a situation that should be impossible and they say, "Watch this," and then they do the impossible anyway. Tom Garrison was that principle personified. We set traps for him. Sophisticated traps based on predictive algorithms that had never failed before. He walked right past them. We deployed our best tracker units, soldiers who had hunted down insurgents on 100 worlds. He killed them or evaded them entirely. We even tried infiltrating human resistance cells, thinking he might contact them. He never did. The man was a phantom, and the attacks kept coming, relentlessly. Every single day, sometimes multiple times per day, our forces would get hit. Garrison developed a pattern, or rather, he deliberately avoided developing a pattern. He would strike in the north, then the south, then back to the north, then somewhere we had not even established a presence yet. He used human weapons, then Kelthran weapons he had stolen, then improvised explosives made from local materials. After 1 month of occupation, we had lost more equipment and personnel to Tom Garrison than we had lost during the actual invasion. Morale started to crack. I remember one incident particularly clearly. We had a young soldier named Pyrax, fresh out of the academy, top of his class. He was assigned to a patrol unit in what humans call Europe. On his 3rd day on duty, his unit got ambushed. Not by a large resistance force. Not by a coordinated strike team, or by Tom Garrison. Just Tom Garrison. He hit them from 4 different angles simultaneously, took out the communications specialist first, then systematically disabled every member of the patrol. He did not kill them all, just wounded them badly enough that they could not fight back. Then he destroyed their vehicles and disappeared. When we recovered Pyrax and his unit, the kid was shaking. Not from his injuries, but from fear. He was everywhere, Pyrax kept saying. How was he everywhere at once? How did he know exactly where each of us would be? I did not have an answer. The worst part? The absolute worst part? Tom Garrison started leaving messages. After destroying a supply convoy, he spray-painted on the side of a transport, "You should probably go home now." After disabling an entire airfield, this is only the beginning. After infiltrating our regional headquarters and stealing classified battle plans, "Thanks for the intel. You guys really should encrypt this stuff better." He was taunting us. One human alone outnumbered by millions of Kalthran soldiers, and he was taunting us. High Commander Zalthor became obsessed. He pulled resources from other sectors. He brought in elite units from core Dominion worlds. He authorized the use of experimental tracking technology. He offered a reward so large that half the galaxy should have been hunting Garrison. Nothing worked. By the end of the second month, something shifted. The other resistance cells on Earth, the ones that had been operating in small, disorganized groups, they started getting bolder. They saw what one man could do, and they thought, if he can do that alone, what can we do together? Attacks increased across the planet. Not by much at first, but enough to strain our already stretched resources. Resources that were stretched, because we had committed so much to finding one human. I started having nightmares. Actual nightmares, which is not common for my species. I would dream about reviewing security footage, watching Tom Garrison walk through our bases like they did not even exist, and I could not do anything to stop him. During the third month, we finally got a break. Or so we thought. One of our intelligence operatives, working deep undercover in a human settlement, reported that he had made contact with someone who knew Garrison's location. It was almost too good to be true. The informant wanted asylum and protection in exchange for the information. Zalthor approved the operation immediately. Bring him in. Get the location. End this. We extracted the informant, a human male named David Morris. He looked nervous, kept glancing around like he expected something terrible to happen. In hindsight, that should have been a warning sign. I interrogated him personally in our most secure facility, the regional headquarters bunker. It was 3 levels underground, protected by shield generators, guarded by our best troops. Nothing could get in or out without us knowing. Tell me where Tom Garrison is, I said. Morris swallowed hard. He has a base. Hidden in the mountains. I can give you the exact coordinates. How do you know this? I used to work with him. Years ago, before the invasion. I activated a holographic map. Show me. Morris pointed to a location in a remote mountain range. There. He has equipment, supplies, weapons. Everything he needs to continue operations. If you hit it now, you will catch him. I called Zalthor immediately. Sir, we have him. Requesting authorization for a full strike package. Authorized, Zalthor said without hesitation. Whatever it takes. Kill him. We deployed 2 full combat battalions, 80 dropships, air support, heavy weapons. We were not taking chances. This was going to be overwhelming force, shock and awe, the kind of assault that leaves nothing behind but craters. The strike force launched at dawn. I watched from the command center as they approached the target coordinates. The tension in the room was palpable. Everyone knew what this meant. If we got Garrison, if we finally killed him, morale would soar. The resistance would crumble. Earth would be ours. The dropships reached the location. They landed. Troops deployed. They swept the area. Nothing. No base. No equipment. No supplies. Just empty mountains. Sir, the ground commander reported, his voice confused. There is nothing here. We have found no signs of any installation. It is just wilderness. I felt my stomach drop. I turned to Morris, who was sitting in a holding cell adjacent to the command center. He was smiling. Before I could say anything, every light in the bunker went out. Emergency systems kicked in, bathing everything in red backup lighting. Alarms started blaring. Not the standard intrusion alarms, but the catastrophic breach alarms. The ones that meant something had gone horribly, impossibly wrong. Report, I shouted. Sir, we have multiple breaches on levels 1 and 2. How is that possible? We are underground. Our shields are still active. Then the gunfire started. Inside the bunker. Inside our most secure facility. I pulled up security feeds on my datapad. What I saw made no sense. Tom Garrison was inside the bunker. Inside. He was moving through the corridors, taking down guards, disabling systems. He had somehow bypassed every single security measure we had. And he was heading straight for the command center. Lock down this sector, I ordered. All security personnel to the command center now. The blast doors slammed shut. 20 of our best soldiers formed a perimeter around the command center entrance. We had heavy weapons, personal shields, every advantage. It did not matter. Garrison came through the door like a force of nature. I do not even know how he got through the blast door. One moment it was sealed, the next moment it was open, and he was there. What happened next lasted maybe 30 seconds, but it felt like an eternity. Garrison moved through our soldiers like they were training dummies. He was faster than should have been possible, more accurate than our computers. Every shot he fired hit exactly where he intended. Every movement was perfectly efficient. Within those 30 seconds, all 20 soldiers were down. Not dead, I realized later. Garrison had deliberately used non-lethal tactics. He could have killed them all. He chose not to. That somehow made it worse. He walked up to where I was standing, weapon pointed at my head. Up close, I could finally see his face clearly. He looked tired. There were dark circles under his eyes. His face was covered in dirt and sweat. But his eyes? His eyes were absolutely calm, focused. Hello, Vecron, he said. His voice was quiet, almost conversational. We need to talk. I could not speak. I literally could not form words. This one human, had just infiltrated our most secure facility, defeated our best soldiers, and now he was standing in front of me, perfectly calm. Your friend David Morris? Garrison continued, nodding toward the holding cell. He is not a traitor. He is one of mine. Has been from the start. We fed you exactly the information we wanted you to have. Got you to pull your forces out of position. And while you were sending everyone to chase ghosts in the mountains, I walked right in your front door. He reached into a pocket and pulled out a data chip. This chip contains complete access codes to your entire planetary network. Every base, every ship, every system. I have been inside your networks for weeks. I know every deployment, every plan, every weakness. Garrison tossed the chip to me. I caught it reflexively. I am giving this to you, he said, so you understand something very important. I could have used this information to kill thousands of your soldiers. I could have crashed your ships. I could have turned your own defenses against you. But I did not. Do you know why? I shook my head, still unable to speak. Because I do not want to kill you, Garrison said. I want you to leave. Pack up. Go home. Earth is not yours. It will never be yours. And if you stay, if you keep trying to occupy my world, I will make every single day of your occupation a living nightmare. Not because I hate you, but because this is my home. And I will defend it no matter what. He lowered his weapon. You have 48 hours. After that, the real war begins. Tell your high commander. Then he turned and walked out. Just walked out. Through a bunker full of Calthran soldiers, through security systems that should have stopped him, through everything we threw at him. And he just walked away. I stood there, in the ruined command center, holding that data chip, and I realized something that shook me to my core. We had not even seen what Tom Garrison was truly capable of. Everything he had done so far, all the attacks, all the sabotage, all of it had been him holding back, being gentle. I accessed the data on the chip. It was exactly what he said it was. Complete access to everything. He had not been lying. He could have destroyed us any time he wanted. And he had chosen to give us a chance to leave instead. I went to Zalthor immediately. I showed him the data. I told him what happened. The High Commander stared at the information for a long time. Then he looked at me. 48 hours, he said. Yes, sir. Me. Zalthor was quiet for several minutes. When he finally spoke, his voice was heavy with a weight I had never heard before. Vecron, in 8,000 years of Calthran military history, we have never retreated from a world we were actively occupying. Never. To do so would be a humiliation beyond measure. Our enemies would see it as weakness. Our own people would question our strength. I understand, sir. But Zalthor continued, I have also never encountered anything like this. One single human has done more damage to our forces than entire planetary militaries. And he did it while holding back, while being merciful. He stood up, walked to the window overlooking the occupied city below. What happens when humans like Tom Garrison stop being merciful? What happens when millions of them, billions of them, decide to fight with that same intensity? That same creativity? I did not answer. I did not need to. We both knew. Begin withdrawal procedures, Zalthor said quietly. All forces, all assets. We are leaving Earth. And that is how it started. That is how the Kalthran Dominion, the greatest military power in the galaxy, began its collapse. Because we met one human who refused to accept that resistance was impossible. One human who looked at overwhelming odds and said, not today. The withdrawal took 3 weeks. Tom Garrison left us alone during that time, true to his word. But every single day, as we loaded equipment and pulled back forces, we saw him. Or rather, we saw signs of him. He would appear in surveillance feeds, watching us, making sure we actually left, reminding us that he was still there. When the last Kalthran ship lifted off from Earth, High Commander Zalthor made one final transmission. It was not sent to Earth. It was sent to the entire Dominion fleet, every ship, every base, every world. To all Kalthran forces, he said, Earth is to be classified as a forbidden zone. No ships are to approach human space under any circumstances. This is not a suggestion. This is a direct order from the highest level of command. The humans are not to be engaged. They are not to be provoked. They are to be left alone. He paused, then added, we picked a fight with the wrong species. Learn from our mistake. That transmission changed everything. Word spread fast. Other species who had been considering expansion toward human space suddenly decided to look elsewhere. Pirates who thought Earth might be easy prey found other targets. The galaxy collectively decided that maybe, just maybe, humans were best left undisturbed. And it all happened because of one human, Tom Garrison, the man who took on an empire by himself and did not lose. You are probably thinking that is where the story ends, right? The big bad empire retreats, humanity celebrates, everyone lives happily ever after. Roll credits. Yeah, no, not even close. See, what happened next was somehow even more ridiculous. Because Tom Garrison was not done, and neither was the galaxy. Let me explain something about empires. When you have ruled for 8,000 years, when you have conquered hundreds of worlds, when you have never ever backed down from a fight, and then suddenly you retreat from one primitive planet because of one guy, that creates what we call in the intelligence business a power vacuum. And not just any vacuum. A massive galaxy shaking, everything is about to go sideways kind of vacuum. Within 6 months of our withdrawal from Earth, 7 different species declared independence from the Dominion. Worlds we had held for centuries suddenly decided that if the mighty Kalthrans could not handle one human, maybe they were not so mighty after all. The Dominion fleet split. Commanders who had served loyally for decades started questioning orders. Some outright defected. Our 1,000-year alliance with the Vexor Confederacy dissolved overnight. Trade routes collapsed. Border systems started fighting over territory. It was chaos. Beautiful, horrible chaos. And you want to know the really funny part? Tom Garrison did not even know he had done all this. He thought he just saved his planet. He had no idea he had accidentally triggered the collapse of the largest empire in galactic history. I know this because I met him again, 6 months after the withdrawal. And before you ask, no, it was not voluntary. Let me tell you how that happened. After Earth, I was basically done. High Command did not officially blame me for the disaster, but they did not have to. Everyone knew. I was the senior intelligence officer who failed to stop one human. My career was over. They assigned me to a backwater monitoring station in the Outer Rim, essentially exile with a fancy title. I was sitting in my quarters, 3 drinks into what I planned to make a very long night, when my console started beeping. Incoming transmission. Priority level maximum. Source unknown. I almost ignored it. Then I saw the encryption signature. It was ours. Calthran military encryption. But the source point made no sense. It was coming from Earth. I opened the channel. Tom Garrison's face appeared on the screen. I may have screamed a little. Just a little. "Hello, Vecron," he said, that same calm voice I remembered from the bunker. "Sorry to bother you. I need your help." I stared at him. Then I looked at my drink. Then back at him. Am I hallucinating? Did I finally lose my mind? "You are not hallucinating," Garrison said. "And I am guessing you know what is happening in the galaxy right now. The complete destabilization of civilized space? Yes, I am vaguely aware. It is getting worse. The Vexor Confederacy is mobilizing their fleet. They are planning to attack Dominion core worlds. When that happens, the death toll is going to be in the billions." I leaned forward. "And you care about this, why? We invaded your world. We tried to enslave your species. Why would you care if we get destroyed?" Garrison was quiet for a moment. "Because I fought you to protect my home, not to cause a galaxy-wide war. And despite everything, I do not want billions of innocent people to die because of what I did." "What you did?" I laughed bitterly. "Garrison, you defeated us, fair and square. What happens now is not your fault. It is ours for being stupid enough to attack you in the first place." "Maybe," he said, "but I can still help stop it. And I need someone who understands both sides. Someone the Dominion will listen to. Someone with nothing left to lose." He meant me. Of course he meant me. "You are insane," I said. "Completely and totally insane. Even if I wanted to help you, which I do not, why would the Dominion listen to me? I am a disgraced officer rotting in the Outer Rim." "Because you know the truth," Garrison said. "You saw what happened on Earth. You understand that this whole mess started because empires like the Dominion thought they could take whatever they wanted without consequences. If there is going to be peace, it has to come from people who have learned that lesson." I should have said no. I should have closed the channel, finished my drink, and gone back to my quiet exile. Instead, I said, "What exactly are you proposing?" 3 days later, I found myself on a human transport ship heading toward neutral space. Me, a Calthran intelligence officer, on a human ship, with Tom Garrison sitting across from me explaining his completely impossible plan. "We are going to organize a peace summit," he said. I stared at him. "A peace summit. Yes. Between the Dominion and the Vexor Confederacy. 2 powers that have hated each other for 3,000 years. 2 powers that are currently mobilizing for total war." "That is correct. And you think they will come to this summit, why?" Garrison smiled. Not a happy smile. More like the smile of someone who knows something you do not. "Because I am going to invite myself to the Vexor Fleet Command and convince them it is in their best interest." "You are going to what?" "I am going to infiltrate their flagship, have a conversation with their fleet admiral, and make them understand that attacking the Dominion right now will get millions of their own people killed for nothing." I rubbed my temples. I could feel a headache forming. "Garrison, the Vexor flagship has security measures that make your infiltration of our bunker look like a practice exercise. It is literally impossible to get on board without authorization." "Probably," he agreed. "But I am going to do it anyway." And he did. Of course he did. I will not bore you with all the details of how Tom Garrison infiltrated the most secure warship in the Vexor Confederacy. Partly because even after watching the surveillance footage he gave me later, I still do not fully understand how he did it. The man moves through security systems like they are not even there. What I will tell you is that he got to Fleet Admiral Corvin, got into her private quarters, sat down, and had a conversation. According to Garrison, it went something like this. Corvin woke up to find him sitting in a chair next to her bed, drinking her private reserve of Vexor brandy. "Good evening, Admiral," he said. "We need to talk about your war plans." To her credit, Corvin did not panic. She reached for the alarm next to her bed. "I would not do that," Garrison said calmly. "I disabled your security systems 45 minutes ago. If you call for guards, they will come, but it will take them approximately 3 minutes to get here. In that time, I can leave 12 different ways. Or we can just talk like reasonable people." Corvin studied him. "You are the human, the one who defeated the Calthrans." "I am a human," Garrison corrected. "There are about 8 billion of us. But yes, I am the one you are thinking of. What do you want?" "I want you to not attack the Dominion." Corvin actually laughed. "The Dominion is collapsing. This is our chance to finally break their hold on the core sectors." "Why would we pass that up?" "Because it is a trap," Garrison said. "Not an intentional one, but a trap nonetheless. The Dominion is weak right now, yes. Yeah, but they still have thousands of warships. If you attack their core worlds, they will have no choice but to commit everything to defense. And when 2 massive fleets clash in populated space, the casualties will not be measured in millions. They will be measured in billions. That is war," Corvin said coldly. "We did not start this. The Dominion has oppressed and attacked our people for centuries." "You are right," Garrison agreed. "They have, and they were wrong to do it. But killing billions of their civilians will not make things better. It will just create the next generation of hatred for the next cycle of war, and that cycle will never end. So what would you have us do? Just let them get away with everything?" "No," Garrison said. "I want you to come to a peace summit. Negotiate a real, lasting peace. Redraw borders. Create a framework where species can coexist without constant warfare. It will not be perfect. It will not give you everything you want, but it will stop the killing." Corvin was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Why do you care? This is not your fight. You saved your world. You could just go home and be done with all of us." "I could," Garrison said. "But I did not fight the Calthrans just to save Earth. I fought them because I believe that people should be free to live their lives without being conquered and enslaved. And that applies to your people too, and the Calthran people. All people." He stood up. "You have a choice, Admiral. You can go to war and watch millions die. Or you can come to the summit and try to build something better. I know which choice I hope you make." Then he left. Just walked out. Left Corvin sitting there in her quarters, trying to process what had just happened. 2 days later, the Vexor Confederacy announced they were open to peace talks. But the Dominion was harder to convince. Zalthor had been demoted after the Earth disaster. The new High Commander, an old guard officer named Ralthos, was not interested in peace. He wanted to restore Dominion glory through military strength. So Garrison went to talk to him too. This time I went with him, not because I wanted to, because he asked me to, and because somehow I had become invested in this insane plan. We met Ralthos on a neutral station. He brought 20 guards. Garrison brought me and 2 human diplomats, a woman named Elena Foster and a man named Marcus Webb. No weapons, no tricks, just talking. Ralthos was not impressed. "I agreed to this meeting as a courtesy, Vecron, because we once served together. But this human has humiliated our entire civilization. If he thinks we will negotiate with him, he is mistaken." "Commander," I said carefully, "with respect, you need to hear what he has to say." "I need to do nothing," Ralthos snapped. "The Dominion does not negotiate with primitives." That is when Garrison did something unexpected. He started laughing, not a cruel laugh, just genuinely amused. Ralthos bristled. "You find something funny, human?" "Sorry," Garrison said. getting himself under control. It is just you keep calling us primitives. Commander, I walked through your best security, defeated your best soldiers, and forced you to retreat from an entire planet. At what point do you accept that maybe we are not as primitive as you think? You got lucky, Ralthos said. For 3 months? I got lucky every single day for 3 months? Come on. You are smarter than that. Garrison leaned forward. Here is the truth, Commander. Humans are not primitive. We are different. We think differently. We fight differently. And we will never, ever stop defending ourselves. You can accept that and find a way to coexist with us. Or you can keep pretending we are beneath you and watch your empire continue to crumble. Are you threatening us? Ralthos's hand moved toward his sidearm. No, Garrison said calmly. I am offering you a way out. The Vexor Confederacy is ready to talk. Other species are ready to talk. The galaxy is ready to move past empire and conquest. The only question is whether the Dominion will move forward with everyone else or get left behind. Ralthos stared at him for a long moment. Then he looked at me. Vecron, you have seen this human in action. You have studied him. Tell me honestly. If we refuse peace, if we try to maintain the Dominion through force, what happens? I thought about my answer carefully. Sir, humanity now knows we exist. They know there is a galaxy full of other species. And they have seen that they can fight us and win. If we threaten them again, they will not just defend Earth. They will come after us. And based on what I have seen, if humans decide to go on the offensive, if they apply that same creativity and determination to warfare across the stars, I do not think we can stop them. One human caused us to retreat, I continued. Imagine 10,000 like him, 100,000, 1,000,000, all working together, all using tactics we cannot predict. Commander, we barely survived one Tom Garrison. We will not survive a united humanity. Ralthos was silent for a very long time. Finally, he said, what are the terms? The summit took place 3 weeks later on a space station in neutral territory. 57 species sent representatives. It was the largest gathering of galactic powers in recorded history. The negotiations lasted 42 days. There were moments when I thought everything would collapse. The Dominion wanted to maintain its core territories. The Vexor wanted reparations for centuries of oppression. Smaller species wanted guarantees of independence. Everyone had demands. Everyone had grievances. But somehow, gradually, a framework emerged. The Dominion would reduce its military by 60%. All occupied worlds would be granted independence with protection guarantees. A Galactic Council would be established with representatives from all member species. Disputes would be settled through arbitration, not warfare. It was not perfect. There were compromises that no one was happy with. But it was peace. On the final day of the summit, after all the agreements were signed, I found Tom Garrison standing alone in an observation deck, looking out at the stars. You did it, I said. You actually pulled this off. He shrugged. We all did it. You helped. Elena and Marcus helped. Even Ralthos came around in the end. Still, without you, none of this would have happened. You single-handedly changed the course of galactic history. I did not want to change galactic history, Garrison said quietly. I just wanted to protect my home. Everything else was just trying to fix the mess that created. I stood next to him, looking out at the same stars. Can I ask you something? That day in the bunker when you had complete access to our systems, when you could have destroyed us, why did you not? Why did you give us a chance to leave peacefully? Garrison was quiet for a moment. Because I have seen what happens when people stop being human, when they start seeing enemies instead of people. I have watched good people do terrible things because they convinced themselves it was necessary. I did not want to become that. I did not want to win by becoming a monster. So you showed mercy. I showed respect, he corrected. There is a difference. Mercy implies I was better than you. Respect means I understood you were people. just like me, making choices you thought were right. You were wrong to invade Earth, but I did not want to punish you. I wanted you to learn. We learned, I said. Trust me, we learned. Garrison smiled. Good. Because Earth is watching now. We know we are not alone in the universe anymore. And we are going to be out here, among the stars, building our own ships and exploring and meeting other species. And when we do, we are going to remember this moment. Remember that peace is possible. That coexistence is possible. You know there will be conflicts, I said. Humans and other species. Cultural differences. Misunderstandings. Not everyone is going to be happy about humanity joining the galactic community. I know, Garrison said, but that is okay. We will figure it out, together, because that is what people do when they actually try. He turned to face me. Vecron, you asked me once why I cared about the war between the Dominion and the Vexor. The truth is, I care because I believe we are all capable of being better than our worst moments. You Kelthrans, you built an empire on conquest, but you also built it on 8,000 years of culture and knowledge and achievement. That matters. That is worth preserving. Just not the conquest part. What will you do now? I asked. Go home? You must be exhausted. I am, he admitted. But there is work to do. Earth is going to need ambassadors, people who understand the galaxy and can help humanity navigate it. I figure I might as well be one of them. You want to be a diplomat? You, the man who infiltrates military installations for fun? He laughed. I know, right? But someone has to do it. Might as well be someone who has already made every possible first impression mistake. A message appeared on my datapad. Official communication from the Dominion High Command. I opened it. It was a reinstatement notice. I was being recalled to active duty. Promoted, actually. Director of Interspecies Relations. A brand new position. I showed the message to Garrison. He grinned. Looks like we will be working together after all. Apparently so, I said, still processing. How did you know they would offer me this? I did not know. I suggested it. Told them they needed someone who understood both sides. Someone who had been through the worst of it and came out still believing in peace. You vouched for me. Why? Because you are a good person, Vecron. You were just following orders that were wrong. Now you get a chance to help create better orders. Over the next year, I watched Tom Garrison become exactly what he said he would be. An ambassador. A bridge between humanity and the rest of the galaxy. He traveled to dozens of worlds, met with leaders, solved disputes, and slowly, gradually helped humanity integrate into galactic society. And everywhere he went, the stories followed him. The human who defeated an empire. The warrior who became a peacemaker. The impossible man who did impossible things. But here is what most people do not know. What I learned spending that year working with him. Tom Garrison was not special because he was stronger or faster or smarter than everyone else. He was special because he cared. Because when he saw something wrong, he could not just walk away. Because he believed, truly believed, that things could be better and it was worth fighting for that. That is what makes humans dangerous. Not their weapons, not their tactics, their absolute refusal to accept that anything is impossible, their insane optimism in the face of overwhelming odds, their belief that one person can make a difference. Tom Garrison proved that one person can change everything. The Galactic Council is still functioning. The peace agreements hold. There are problems, of course, disputes and tensions, but they get resolved through talking now, not warfare. The Kalthran Dominion still exists, but it is different, smaller, more focused on cooperation than conquest. High Commander Ralthos retired. Zalthor came back as an advisor to the Council. We are learning. And humanity? Humanity is spreading across the stars. Slowly, carefully, building relationships, learning from other species while teaching them too. They have not conquered anyone, have not tried to build an empire. They are just being human, which, as it turns out, is more than enough. I still meet with Tom Garrison regularly. We have become friends, as strange as that sounds. Sometimes we laugh about the early days when I was trying to hunt him down and he was systematically destroying my career. Last time we met, I asked him if he ever regretted any of it. The fighting, the sabotage, all the chaos he caused. He thought about it for a long time. Then he said, "I regret that it was necessary. I regret that people died. I regret that so much effort and resources went into fighting instead of building. But I do not regret defending my home. And I do not regret the peace that came after. So no, overall, I do not regret it." "You know, people tell stories about you now," I said. "Across 100 worlds. The human who beat an empire." "I did not beat an empire," Garrison corrected. "I beat a mistake. I beat the idea that might makes right. Says that some species deserve to rule and others deserve to serve. That conquest is acceptable. Those ideas needed to die. The empire itself, the Calthran people, the culture and knowledge and potential, that deserved to survive, and it did. That, right there, is why one human beat a galactic empire and did not lose. Because he understood something we had forgotten over 8,000 years of conquest. Victory is not about defeating your enemy. It is about creating a world where enemies are not necessary anymore. The galaxy is different now. Better, I think, though others might disagree. But it is definitely different. And it changed because one human named Tom Garrison looked at impossible odds and said, "Not today." So yeah, that is my story. That is how I went from a loyal Dominion officer to a disgraced failure to the director of interspecies relations working alongside the man I once hunted. That is how the Calthran Dominion went from ruling the galaxy to being just another member of the Galactic Council. And that is how humanity entered galactic society. Not through conquest, not through surrender, but by being so absolutely, stubbornly, impossibly human that the rest of us had no choice but to adapt. If you take away one thing from this story, let it be this. Never, ever underestimate a human who decides something is worth fighting for, because they will find a way. They always find a way. And if you ever meet Tom Garrison, be polite, be respectful, and for the love of all that is sacred in the galaxy, do not make him angry.